Hello, everyone. I just wanted to do one final awards check in here before the Oscars because, you know, as you can see here, I mean, we're pretty much all done. I mean, the Oscars are right here. The only other things that are left are the ICG Publicist Film Awards, which we don't really care about because there's no Academy Award category for Best Publicist, and the American Cinema Editors Award, which I would have counted into my rankings, but it's not until after the Oscars for some reason, so we got to move on. But if you've seen any of my other incredibly exciting awards-related videos this season, you'll know that I've been keeping track of everybody who's picking up prizes throughout this award season, um, giving them points based on whether they're designated as a winner or as a runner up or just a nominee. And so now we can look at this, we can look at kind of the voice of the people, compare it to the Academy's nominations, and see where they differ. Might be interesting. And also talk about who might win the Oscar, who should win the Oscar. I'll try not to make this take all day, but I mean, basically down here, uh, ensemble cast is the first one I have here, and this is not a category at the Oscars, but it's an important thing to follow anyway. Conclave just won ensemble at SAG, and there is a pretty strong correlation there between the winner of best ensemble and best picture. I mean, it's obviously not a 1-to-1. Um, but what I like to see at the end of these things is if this represented the voting for the actual awards, what would our nominees be? So in this case, it would be these five here. So Conclave, Sing Sing, Wicked, and Nora, Dune Part Two, which pretty good list. Saturday Night just missed out on it. It would have been nice if that could have made our nominees list, but unfortunately not. But yeah, Conclave won this by a pretty sizable margin, which could have, an influence come awards time. Hair and makeup, we don't really have a strong five. We have The Substance way out in front. Beetlejuice and Dune kind of both have 4 points down here, so they'd have to have a fight to the death if we had to get to five nominees. But yeah, I'm so relieved that A Different Man got the nomination. It's so deserved it. But yeah, I mean, you can see here that pretty similar nominees, except instead of Beetlejuice or Dune, their fifth was Amelia Perez, which is down here with 3 points. So that's honestly not a bad choice. It's like the makeup they did on the main character pre-transition, and all of the you had to buy into that to buy into the character's journey, so they did a good job. Uh, Art direction, we really didn't get enough data to have this mean anything. I mean, Nosferatu and Wicked are leading it, but yeah, I guess a lot of not very many guilds give out awards for art direction. Um, in terms of, you know, oh, I should say who's going to win makeup? The Substance, right? Please, hopefully. Uh, and art direction. Where the hell is art direction? Do they group it in with production design? Okay, no art direction. Hasn't there usually been art direction? What's going on? I don't know. Sound. There is just one sound category at the Oscars now. It used to be sound editing, sound design. Now there's just sound, which I prefer. I think it's less confusing. Um, but yeah, pretty strong top five here, and reasonably different from the Academy's top five. I mean, they included Wild Robot, which I think is a good pick, and they included Amelia Perez because they had to nominate Amelia Perez for literally everything. But yeah, Dune led in the pre-Oscar awards, and I have no reason to believe that Dune isn't gonna win Best Sound at the ceremony. But I do think that Wicked has a really good shot at it because, it just a big lavish musical like that does kind of lend itself to a sound win. I know plenty of musicals have won best sound in the past, so I would not be surprised by Wicked taking that. Costume design, yeah, we have a pretty strong 5 here too with Wicked, Nosferatu, Dune, Conclave, Furiosa, and of course, they couldn't nominate Furiosa for costume design because the Academy apparently like really hated Furiosa like a lot. So they threw a complete unknown in there, which like isn't a bad nomination. It's fine. And Gladiator 2 got to nominate Gladiator 2. At least they got Nosferatu in there, but not nominating Dune Part 2 is kind of insane. Visual effects. Yeah, this is another one where we don't really have a strong top five. Better Man and Furiosa battling it out down here. But of course, since the Academy hated Furiosa, Better Man won out in the end, and that got nominated. Uh, no nomination for The Substance for Best Visual Effects, which I think is one of the biggest snubs of the night. That's insane. But, regardless, Dune's gonna win, right? I mean, I think Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has like an outside shot at it, but Dune's gonna win. Production design, got a clear top five here: Wicked, Nosferatu, Brutalist, Dune, and Conclave. And this is identical to what the Academy went with. Same top five. That's the first time that's happened, I do believe. And as you can see here, Wicked was leading it, but Nosferatu and The Brutalist were close behind. I do think Wicked is going to take this on the night, but, The Brutalist, from what I understand, it is like this big epic production that was filmed for very relatively little money. I mean, considering the scope of the film. So they might want to award that. I think it's going to be one of those two. Um, and I'm leaning toward Wicked, but we'll see. Uh, Best song, yeah. So they didn't nominate the Trent Reznor Atticus Ross song, the Compress Repress, because they hated challengers. And Diane Warren wouldn't make our top five, but you got to include Diane Warren. Kiss the Sky was the big one too. I mean, not the big one. The big one was Compress Repress, but Kiss the Sky also from Wild Robot. That got tons of precursor nominations. Didn't get any attention here. I mean, they might give it to the Elton John song just because Elton John is Elton John, but he did win fairly recently, so I'm kind of thinking they'll give it to El Mal. It's one of the more striking sequences in the film, for better or worse. Uh, Original score, of course, this is one of a few categories actually where the clear frontrunner did not get an Academy Award nomination. No Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. So in a strong second place, we have The Brutalist, and they're probably going to win. Daniel Bloomberg. I mean, I have listened to the score. It's a wonderful score. So I would be fine with him winning. I do think overall these are really kind of unimaginative, boring nominees. Having the Wild Robot in there is nice. But there were like some really innovative, cool scores last year, and I just think this is just a really safe group. But what can you do? The short film categories I know literally nothing about, so I just predict them based on what sounds like the most awardsy name. So for these, I am going with Instruments of a Beating Heart, The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent, and In the Shadow of the Cypress. Those all sound real awardsy, right? Documentary feature, I haven't seen any of these, so I'm just going to have to go based off reputation. And the leader in the precursors was No Other Land. As you can see, it was in a very tight race with Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, which did not get nominated for an Oscar. And neither did Harper and Will in third place, which I did see, which was a wonderful movie. But but nope, another snub that really bothers me. But what can you do? So yeah, I mean, knowing what I know, which is basically nothing, I think No Other Land will take it. International feature. This is a weird category this year because two of these films were nominated for Best Picture. So the other three nominees, can any of them conceivably win? Because if any of those three nominees were better than the two that were nominated for Best Picture, why wasn't that movie also nominated for Best Picture? So that means that, Flo, Girl with the Needle, Seed of the Sacred Fig can basically go home. And it's going to be I'm Still Here or Amelia Perez. And I'm leaning toward Amelia Perez because they gave it 13 freaking nominations. So they clearly really loved it. And the voting on these awards happened before, all of the backlash and whatnot. So yeah, I think Amelia Perez is going to take it. And it's second in our precursor rankings behind All We Imagine Is Light, which did not get nominated. So it's looking pretty good for Amelia Perez. I just saw The Girl with the Needle, and it was incredibly depressing and disturbing. And it was a good movie, but I did not enjoy watching it. Uh, but out of the ones I've seen, I mean, I would probably go with Flo, but I did like Girl with the Needle more than Amelia Perez, and I'm Still Here personally. But Flo's incredible, and I would give Flo foreign film, and I would give Flo animated film as much as I enjoyed Wild Robot, which I did very much. And I also really liked the Wallace and Gromit movie, and Inside Out 2 was wonderful. But just Flo just like really blew me away. Um, Wild Robot is going to win, though. I mean, Flo, has done very well for itself, but I think pretty much everybody knows it's going to be Wild Robot at this point. Um, all right, adapted screenplay. This one's pretty open and shut. Um, is yeah, it's going to be Conclave. I mean, here we don't have our five nominees. Well, I guess we do because I include the stars in case of ties to help resolve ties. So I guess sadly Robert Eggers would be out of there and Wicked would get in. But yeah, as you can see, Conclave is winning here by a wide margin. Did we do freaking cinematography yet? How did we skip over cinematography? I'm a fucking moron. All right, we'll do this category, then we'll go back to cinematography. It's Conclave. Conclave is going to win. Uh, I would like it, I would prefer Sing Sing 1 or even A Complete Unknown. I actually really enjoyed the script to A Complete Unknown. It had a lot of particularly, I mean, what was nice about that movie is it was a fairly standard biopic in some ways, but it didn't take itself like super super seriously. Like it had some humor to it and some light irreverence to it, and it was a very well written movie, I think. But yeah, Conclave is going to win. Cinematography, which I somehow skipped for some reason. Um, Very strong top five here with Nosferatu, The Brutalist, Nickel Boys, Dune Part 2, and Conclave. And surprisingly, uh, Conclave is one of the ones that got left out here, along with Nickel Boys, which is really weird to me because it seems like the whole thing with Nickel Boys is the cinematography. That's like the thing. That's a big part of what defines that film for people. So it's weird that got snubbed there. But I don't know. I mean, as you can see, Nosferatu has been leading by a pretty wide margin, but I'm kind of leaning toward it going to The Brutalist. It does look like a gorgeously shot movie, and it's just on that scale and everything. And Nosferatu is about vampires. They don't usually give awards to movies about vampires. So I don't know. I'm leaning toward The Brutalist. Original screenplay. Um, I think is this another one where they match up? No, because they hated challengers. So they got rid of that one and they put in September 5, which is way down here. I saw Hard Truths, and I would have loved for that to get a nomination. That's a beautiful script. And I saw the TV Glow, obviously, but that was never going to happen. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this one, as much as I would like to think the Substance has a shot at it, I feel like any of these top three could take it. Honora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain. I'm leaning toward Honora. I think Honora's probably going to take it, but I could see those other two swooping in. Supporting actress. This is an interesting one. Our top five, we can define it, but it's very close between Isabella Rossellini and Aunjanue Ellis Taylor. But yeah, I mean, as you can see here, interestingly, I think Ariana Grande did is out in front with the precursors and by a pretty decent margin. Um, so it would be interesting to have Ariana Grande be an Academy Award winning actress, but I don't think they're going to go that route. I think they're probably going to go with Zoe Saldana. Um, she's been the front runner for a long time. If you look at, sites like Gold Derby and all of those awards coverage sites, and it's a very flashy part. So, yeah, I think Zoe's probably going to take it. But if she doesn't, Ariana's right there in second place, I think, and I think it could happen. Actor in a supporting role is one of the most boring categories of the night. That's sealed up. Kieran Culkin, no chance. This is the category that I'm most sure about, and I think a lot of other people probably feel that way. You can see over here Clarence Macklin, one of the biggest snubs of the night, in my opinion. That's one of the ones that hurt the most. He was so incredible in Sing Sing. And Denzel. Denzel didn't get included, which, you know, I loved Edward Norton's performance, who came in sixth over here, so I'm glad he got the Oscar nomination. But it would have been nice if there had been room for Edward Norton and Denzel, if the world was a beautiful place. But yeah, Kieran Culkin's going to take it. I've been playing with broken headphones the whole time. I hope it's not distracting. Um, Best actress in a leading role is it's going down to these two. They're neck and neck. Mikey Madison and Honora, Demi Moore in The Substance. In my brain, I was just like, well, whoever wins SAG, that's going to help me decide, because to me they were basically tied going into SAG, and Demi Moore won SAG, so that should be it for me. But I'm still not sure. It's so close, and Demi Moore, has this great narrative behind her, but often the Academy Awards ruins those narratives. They recently did it with Brendan Fraser, which was nice, but they squandered the opportunity with Chadwick Boseman, with Mickey Rourke, with Michael Keaton, just again and again and again and again. You have these beautiful moments that the Academy just denies you. So I can see that happening again, but I'm slightly leaning toward Demi Moore taking it, which would be wonderful. Best actor. Oh, and over here, yeah, pretty different list. They had Nicole Kidman in there for Baby Girl, which would have been nice. She was really strong in that film. Marie-Anne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths, which I think is a pretty huge snub. She was wonderful in that movie. But Fernanda Torres was really good, and I'm Still Here, so it is nice that she got the nomination. And Carla Sofia Gascon, though she has been exposed recently as not a nice person, her performance in Amelia Perez was impressive, I think, So it's a pretty good list of nominees, but it is a shame not to have Marianne Jean Baptiste in there, especially. Actor in a leading role. I think most people still agree it's going to go to Adrian Brody. This has been complicated a little bit because Timothy Chalamet won SAG. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. I certainly didn't. So I think Timothy Chalamet is probably in second right now. He's probably ahead of Coleman Domingo. Um, I mean, as you can see here, Adrian Brody and Coleman Domingo were really like neck and neck throughout the precursors. But Adrian Brody came out on top, and I think he's going to come out on top at the Oscars too. Um, but There's the Chalamet has an outside chance at it. He's the dark horse. Is that what that means? I think he's the dark horse. If I am using that parlance correctly. Regardless, I'm still thinking Adrian Brody. My mind has not been changed. Best director was pretty similar, except they they snubbed Dune Part 2 for tons of stuff, including director, which is crazy. Denis Villeneuve should totally be in there. But other than that, yeah, you have Ramel Ross in here for Nickel Boys, which would have been nice. I mean, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown, he did a good job, but it's kind of a boring nomination. Like, there's nothing about that film where you're just like, oh, that sequence was so brilliantly directed. It's like competently directed. He did a good job, but I don't know. But yeah, this one comes down to Sean Baker or Brady Corbet, and I honestly don't know which of them is going to win. I kind of feel like they're going to split it. That Brady is going to win for director, and Honora is going to get picture. Um, but I think Sean Baker could easily just win. Honora could easily win both categories. So I'm predicting Brady Corbet, but I'm kind of expecting to regret it. Okay, and over here in Best Feature, I have highlighted what would have been our 10 nominees. So let's compare. Honora, yes. The Brutalist, yes. The Substance, yes. Conclave, yes. Dune Part 2, yes. Nickel Boys, yes. One of only two nominations it got. Sing Sing, no. Which is just, it's still so weird to me. How how little support they gave Sing Sing. It's just weird. Wicked, yes. Challengers, no. They hated Challengers, and A Complete Unknown, yes. So the two they had that the precursors didn't have were Amelia Perez and and I'm Still Here, which I'm Still Here like barely made an impact at the precursors. Like, is it? Yeah, it's down here. It got one single point, but it did get the Best Picture nomination. So that's Cinderella story right there. But yeah, I mean, this is a fine collection of nominees. You know, as I said when the nominations were announced, it's fine. It doesn't excite me, but you know, I think certainly most of the films here are very strong. And I think Honora's going to take it. I think The Brutalist is like what the Academy would have chosen a few years ago, maybe like a decade ago. It's the more kind of Oscar-y movie. But they've been picking the cool movie lately. They've been picking like Everything Everywhere All at Once and Parasite. So I think they're gonna pick the cool movie again this year. That's kind of the way things have been trending, and they're going to go with Honora. But I can see it going to The Brutalist. Some people are predicting Conclave after it got ensemble at SAG and Best Feature at the BAFTAs. Uh, Conclave is not a bad movie. It's a very solid film. But if Conclave fucking wins Best Picture, I will burn this place to the ground. That I may never recover from Conclave winning Best Picture. But yeah, that's about it. We've talked about what we need to talk about. I am excited for this ceremony. This It's coming very soon, so this video is going to be irrelevant very shortly. Before it is, it's probably going to be viewed by anywhere from like 4 to 12 people. I don't know, but maybe we can look back on this when it's over, and I can you know either celebrate my correctness or mock myself for my failings as far as the accuracy of my predictions. But that's about it. I'm just rambling at this point. I'm just rambling.